sang about polygamy. Polygamy has been a subject of many contemporary songs, contemporary culture. And in his song One and Only, he said, baby, you're my one and only, I love you, I love you. But I might say, Gwenemuno. It's like men flip, you know? They love you and then, aha, Gwenemuno. And what do? We dance along the beats. We accept because we have been placed in a situation where we are never questioning, and the conversation is really, really important. But also, I'm seeing progress. I'm seeing the younger people saying, let's do it with consent. They're men and they are open to polygamy, but they are actually raising the issue of consent. So that is also very interesting to take a look at. And like you said, it's not just Baganda or Jabs who are polygamous or Muslims. Polygamy is a reality for many women. Polygamy has been a subject of songs by women. Often women will not converse about polygamy. But in Kazole, you know Kazole? Who knows how to sing? Kazole. In Kazole, Fie and Babarita sing about a relationship in a certain version of the boy is mine, a Ugandan version of the boy is mine, it's Kazole. And they sing about who is the wife in the bar and who is the wife in the home, and they are competing. The only mama chiyungu, you are the mother kitchen. For me, I am the one in the bar who has fun. And they are pulling and pushing and shoving. Shiba Karunji dared the concept of polygamy in her song with Caroline Nantongo, where they talk about Silwana. And they are nonchalant about the situation. They are saying polygamy can't be our problem as women. If men want to be polygamous, let them be polygamous. I am not going to attack another woman and fight with the woman over polygamy. What will I do? Shortcuts. Get another person and have my fun surviving the polygamy, surviving the patriarchy. Women have done things over centuries. They've oppressed us one way or the other, but we have learned to survive. I don't know how the women survived the noise when they were sharing the house, the same house, and there were no ceilings. But women survive and they find ways. And one of the greatest survivors of our time, one of the greatest challenges of our time is here at this table today, Rose Wachikonda, who in 2021, through her organization, challenged polygamy as being unconstitutional, as being a human rights violation. She spoke to women like the women on this table who expressed their situations, who expressed their pain, their sorrow, their powerlessness at the polygamy situation, and implored the courts to do something to declare polygamy unconstitutional, which would have been an important step in equality for women. But the case was unfortunately thrown out. And polygamy is still our reality in all its unregulated forms. Rose, tell us about this important case. Where did you come from to file it? And what was the decision and how does it affect women?
Thank you so much. First of all, we need to distinguish between polygamy and adulterous affairs. You know, there is having side dishes and living as if you are married, but then there is being actually married. Marriage is a cultural, it's a religious, and it is a legal institution. Once you get married, there are rights that accrue to you as a spouse. Adulterous affairs and the side dishes, no rights.
And no duties.
And no duties. So there has to be that extremely clear distinction. Otherwise, you run into the of thinking that it's all the same, and yet it's not. And it has real-time repercussions in terms of what you can go to court and actually get for yourself and for your children. So when we are talking about marriage, you have to go through a ceremony, be it religious, be it government. And that ceremony can be either in a church, a mosque, a temple, whatever it is, as long as it is legally recognized. And when you become a spouse, there are rights, and I'm sure even Sophie will expound on some of them. Rights like succession. If my spouse dies, am I entitled to anything? Everything, a bit of it, this amount, it has to be there. Issues of consortium, living together, having children, raising them up. Issues of ownership of land. Right now, you can, before you sell or transact over land, you must secure spousal consent. You know, there are so many other rights. Rights like, which are rarely talked about, spousal visas. All you need to do is present a marriage certificate. If you have a US visa, your spouse will almost automatically get the visa. So there are so many rights and duties that accrue to you when you're married. Not if you're a side dish, not if you are in an adulterous. So we need to create that clear distinction. And when you're talking about polygamy, you're talking about actual marriage, having many spouses. So you go through a ceremony to marry more than one spouse. In Uganda, it's allowed through the Muhammadan, but also through customary marriage. Our current marriage bill is trying to agitate for civil marriages, the ones that are done before the government, to also become potentially polygamous, which of course we are pushing back against and saying don't increase the scope. Rather, we are supposed to be narrowing it.
Or reducing,
they're like, no, what? They have so many reasons why they are trying to do that. Then another thing we have to take away from ourselves is that in the last UBOS, the census that was conducted, the aspirations of Ugandans are actually not for polygamy. 57% of Ugandans are either monogamous or living as if they are monogamous. When I say living as if, you know what I am trying, in like I have taken this one either to church or we've married through the government, and I have my other. And what they mean is that the rights and the duties that ascribe to a spouse, they only want them for one person. The others, they just want to play, have fun, not to have those rights of next kin, next of friend, next, no. They want them for only one person. The funny thing is that polygamy, only 11%. So that shows you the aspirations of Uganda. So it shouldn't be this thought that Ugandans, by and large, are just polygamous and are running around looking. No, maybe Ugandans are adulterous. Maybe they prefer to have several sexual partners. But when it comes to the rights and duties that ascribe through marriage, most of them prefer it to be monogamous. The problem is that our laws and our policies are not catering to those aspirations.
Absolutely.
And that is where we are going wrong. And you know, women's rights organizations and feminists like her have come since 1954 agitating. And they are not saying that, okay, outright, remove polygamy, outlaw it, take it away. But even in our laws, where are the protections for the women who are in polygamous relationships? When we were discussing the domestic relations bill, the marriage and divorce bill, the biggest agitations of women then, even in the current marriage bill that we are trying to push for to be amended, it's where are the protections? Because you may say, okay, in the Mohammedan faith, what they are telling us is you must seek the express consent. You must demonstrate you can look after these women. You must provide separate residences. But where is it codified? Where is it codified? As a Muslim wife, where can I go to court and say that they have not? But you can't take that to court.
I take it to Sharia courts.
You can, but the enforcement becomes problematic.
Yeah, but at least if I'm the feminist wife in me.
Because the recognition of the Kadi courts right now, and it's a bit of an issue. They are trying to onboard them, but there is still a bit of a challenge. But then if you carry some of those requirements and put them in the law, then it becomes very easy for women to enforce those rights. When it comes to succession, you read that Succession Act, it only caters for monogamous couples. So the distributions that they will talk about are distributions. You, of course, even as a wife, they give you very little. They say you're only entitled to 25%. Then your children who you produced yesterday take 75%. Say, me who bathed your father? I bathed him.
I've been bathing him all the time.
Hey. You ran away, went and did your degrees in so many other countries. You come and have more rights than me, your mother. How? Of course, as we push back against that. But then it only caters. So now if you're multiple spouses, all of you are supposed to share that 25%. And that 25% doesn't take into consideration how long you have been married. So if I am wife number 1 and I've been there 50 years and Mugole has been there 3, all of you get the same.
We share the 25.
You share equally. And that is, of course, ridiculous. It's extremely ridiculous. So when you're going to enforce your rights of succession, it becomes problematic in polygamous situations. Your rights of consortium, it becomes difficult. Even your rights of land ownership, when they say, okay, before you sell the land, you must seek consent of the spouse. Is it all of them? Is it one of them? Is it half of them? Like, or none at all? None at all. Like, no one knows. Because the law is not clear. The law is only designed for monogamous setups.
So,
and that is where the problem
Rose,
is.
A big issue for the judges was that women enter into these marriages with consent. And the judges, in effect, said that if you want to be in this murky polygamous situation, there was a subtle recognition that polygamy is not the best, most comfortable situation. But the justices said that consenting adults of full age should be able to decide whether they want to contract polygamous marriages or monogamous marriages. And that was the basis for them to say, let people consent. If women want to be in polygamous situations, let them be. But you and Sophie have argued and demonstrated that often the women are in a situation where, one, the conditionalities or the injustice that is being meted on them in these situations is either ignored, downplayed, and this is something that the justices very tactfully refuse to tackle, how polygamy plays in action. They were very vested in statutory interpretation of polygamy. In your experience, are women consenting to polygamy? Yeah? Are the justices right to say, let women be in whatever situation they want to be? They are not going to step in and protect them. What do you think of a decision such as this, and given the context of polygamy that you are talking about and how the reality plays out?
Yeah, so when we filed the case, it was largely at the behest that internationally, regionally, we filed it through the lens of human rights. Polygamy has been declared a harmful practice, that there is no equality that is meted out when you are in a polygamous situation. And Uganda has signed on to these many instruments. I don't want to use very difficult English, but internationally, regionally, it has been recognized as a harmful practice. And what the UN and the African Commission are encouraging states to do is to not to directly outlaw the practice, but to take steps to eliminate the practice from society. So we went to court and said that we have signed on to these documents. It is a harmful practice. There is no equality for women and men in that, and it gives more rights to men than women. And even where our laws are neutral, and they say that women can be able to marry many spouses, that is under the Customary Registration Act. They say you have to marry according to a recognized culture and norm. There is no culture or norm in Uganda that allows a woman to marry more than, at least not in Bugisu. Me who may want 3 husbands, I have nowhere to take my groom price. Even so I am Uganda, stuck with it. Like, it's not there.
Maybe you
I think the issue comes in when we are taught, and this is from, like, let's say P5, when I started learning about sex, men are these inherently sexual creatures who can't keep it in. You understand? They deserve all the rights to do so because, I mean, they are men. So boys will be boys. However, that's where I think that comes from, that no one is agreeing to it, because women are supposed to be like, no, we don't feel those things. Oh God, it's so shameful. I'm so embarrassed. And men are like, I'm walking out with my chest. Why are you walking out with your chest? Please put on something.
So
women are not asexual. I think that is also a fallacy that they use to downplay women's sexuality. And I don't want to look at all of us here, but every now and then the demons arise in your body and you need to satisfy them, regardless of age, regardless of, like, they are there and they are part of us, and we are women. And that part of ourselves, the sexuality, needs to be ardently recognized.
Why are you demonizing them?
Okay, the angels.
The sexual desires, physical body reactions.
Because women, we are not supposed to have sexual feelings.
No, but clearly the justices had this in mind.
Yes.
You know, and we've seen this is not the only decision where we are seeing the judges fueled by culture. We know the challenge to Watoto Church. You remember the constitutional challenge where they're saying women should not be required to have consent from their parents, but men are not. And then the justices said, but no, it's, you know, they have a choice. They can
We are protecting women.
Yes, so you
They are Boneka case.
Yes, the Aboneka case. So you really see that the judges have culture in mind, have protecting the patriarchy in mind, have the sexual desires. But what will maybe even the judge himself who is seated on the bench is thinking, what will happen to me when I can't have many wives? So I don't think the law and the judiciary is immune to cultural and social influence.
It's not that they are not immune; they are completely overtaken by
But they are
culture
part of
and
this
religion
patriarchal
right
society
now.
as
Yes,
well.
Yes,
You know?
and for me it was quite disappointing because the person who wrote the judgment was a woman, and I kept wondering in my head, so is she a patriarchal princess? Like, it just didn't make sense. But then you could also understand the context where she's coming in. But even for them saying that women consent to enter polygamous marriages, we have seen in the past where judges, our Constitutional Court, the very court, has decided to say that consent, when it comes to a harmful practice, cannot be taken into consideration. When you look at female genital mutilation, this is a practice that was contested in the Constitutional Court. And they said that regardless of whether a woman consents or not, this is a harmful practice. It is our duty to protect the people who are participating in that culture. And the expectation is that they will take the same, or at the very least say that, okay, maybe the country is not ready for us to outlaw polygamy, but there need to be protections in place because the judgment itself recognizes that it is a harmful practice, but doesn't give guidance on how to mitigate the harm that arises out of having a polygamous relationship. And that was a problem. And yet in other decisions, they have written what they call per incuriam, like an opinion. You saw the militarization decision where they were outlawing the military courts. They had the guidance for the government on this is how you go about to mitigate the harm that is coming out of this issue. We expected them to do that, but then they recognize, yes, it is harmful, but the women see the harm and still choose to go there. So woe unto them, sorry, bye-bye. Of course, we have appealed to the Supreme Court and we are ready to go wherever needs to go. But then to say that a woman makes, you know, there is this misbelief that women make decisions in a vacuum. Like, you don't just wake up and even to go to school, like, this is Africa.
But do women make decisions even in Africa?
Thank you.
Do we
I don't know. Our decision
Women don't make
making.
decisions.
And
especially for marriage.
So many things that come into play. Money, education, your level of, there are so many things that come into play. But to individualize a decision like marriage and say that it is for one person, even when you're saying I'm entering a monogamous marriage, and you bring your spouse home and say, this is the person I'm going to marry, your parents have a level of contributing to that decision. Like your friends have a level of contributing to that decision. By the time you walk down the altar or wherever it is you're going to perform your ceremony, like it's a collective decision. And yet these justices seem to suggest that the decision to marry is made. This is Africa. They decided as if they were seated in a court in the US or they were seated in a court in Europe, which wasn't correct. So this has very terrible repercussions for our women because, again, I had already mentioned, they didn't give guidance on how to mitigate the harm, even after recognizing that there is harm that comes out of polygamy. But then at the same time, they entrenched polygamy as a practice in our country. And now we have the marriage bill that is coming up, and they are expanding the scope of polygamy without any protection still for women within that particular institution. So we have a long battle ahead of us. And women sometimes feel, I wanted to comment also about the decision making when it comes to you're already married and then your husband comes to you seeking to marry another wife.
Consent.
There are so many things. Like sometimes you're like, but I've been in this marriage for 20 years. We have children. I've
contributed financially.
Even if I don't want, you're like, maybe I am better off remaining here than exiting to go where? Well, I destabilize my children. It's the same decision making that goes into women who are in domestic violence. They think, there is this reputation and respect that comes with being a married woman in our society. And now you become a pariah, a divorced woman. How will they see you in your community? So when you're making all those decisions, all that comes into play. But for our judges to neglect what informs the decision-making of women in our current context, I think for me that was the biggest tragedy.
Wow. As we close this episode of Hide the Myths, this is really deep. I think that women are placed in situations where we are just trying to survive. Where do we go as women when we need help? Like Sophie, you might call women from your community and have conversations. Like Maggie, you might carry a quick survey with your friends to check on them. Or like Rose, you might run to the courts and seek help and hope they come through. It doesn't always work because women's situation, women's rights, women's lived realities is shaped by so many factors, and the patriarchy often means that we don't have as much power that as we should to determine the agency of our lives, to determine where our lives go. We are left at the mercy of religion, we are left at the mercy of culture, and of courts that sometimes fail us. But if ever you have an issue that you want to talk about, you can always gather the women at the kitchen. You can always gather your friends. You can always call Hide the Meat and invite us to your kitchen or offer to come to your kitchen. We might not have all the solutions to these problems, but we have the power of conversation. We have the power of speaking up. We have the power of connection. We have the power of empathy. We have the power of supporting each other as women. And ladies, I just request you for a moment, can we just hold our hands? I don't know how you feel, but for me, it's just every woman at this table right now has been affected by polygamy. You know, Rose said she had a grandfather with multiple wives and hundreds of grandchildren. Mom has spoken about how she married into a home that was polygamous, and it was survival. Sophie from her reality as a Muslim feminist, and just me as a Kumu reincarnated, whose grandmother was a first wife, and was put in a situation that was difficult, and she comes out on the other side looking like the witch in this situation. And it is true that within our family, these issues still cause a very painful ripple. You meet uncles who say, I don't know that side of the family. I am struggling. You are an amazing person, Patience, but you are on the other side of the family. I am learning to heal and connect with you because we were divided by polygamy. We were divided by a situation where our mothers were quarreling, our mothers were fighting, our mothers were pushed to a situation where they were just fighting for survival. But our foremothers, they survived, and we are here, and it is difficult, and you're out there, you are in a polygamous situation. I want you to know that it's not helpless. You can exit a polygamous situation. Maybe in the parting shots, Rose and Sophie, you'll tell us about it. But just to say, power to us women, polygamy doesn't define us. We shall overcome.
Yeah.
We have been put in worse situations. We are here. We are strong. We speak. We use our voice. We use every tool in our arsenal. Ladies, I'm going to give you a moment now to give us your parting shots, your last words to the women out there in polygamous situations. Anything that has come to mind that you really feel our audience should stay with as we close this show, as we survive the patriarchy together, as we survive polygamy. Ma'am, I'll start with you.
Yes, thank you, Patience. To the women out there, if you're suffering, like many are, in a polygamous relationship, please don't keep quiet. It's not a shame to talk about your husband running around with another woman or abandoning you altogether and going to settle elsewhere with another family. It's not a shame to talk about it. No, at first it may appear to you like you want to cover and let no one know that you're going through this, but the best solution is to share it with a friend. Come to hide the meat, talk to us. Let's agree. Let's support each other morally, you know. We support each other. I talk with advice here and there, and we have Rose to whom we can run whenever we need some advice. We never need to move on. So Rose, you are really a strong person in this team, and we can run to you, Sophie. You are strong. I'm glad. I'm happy to know you people, and I now see why you're here to join this conversation, because you have the same thinking like the host. Yeah, this is my daughter, but you. I'm not surprised you're here. You're joining up with us. And to the women, to the men out there, I have a word for the men. Any man out there who has more than one woman, who is another in a relationship outside their marriage, they can almost be sure that their wives are doing the same.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Sophie, your parting shots.
My parting shots are that polygamy is not unique to Islam. It is actually practiced in many other cultures and different setups. But for Islam, there are conditionalities that must be met. However, how they are met is a different conversation, but at least the conditionalities are there. And this could be the example that we share out in the world. To women, I think, Muslim women especially, let's get comfortable talking about this polygamy that we are faced with on a daily. This is our life anyway. And the more we talk about it, the more we'll be able to talk about the injustices that we suffer, and then be able to cultivate solutions to deal with those injustices. To the men out there, I can only tell you that polygamy is here to destroy. That's all I can say, because as you hear, it takes away your economics, it takes away your mentor, it takes away you. So how can you be divided? How can you live a life of being hollow when it's not you? That's all I can say. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sophie. Maggie, your parting shots.
My parting shots is that my opinions may differ because all of us are vastly different people. And I want to say that through where we are going, let's say, while it has been a bad, horrible, terrible thing and has had severely it has had horrible effects. I personally can say that we haven't catered to the people who may be happy in such a situation. You understand? We haven't catered to the people who have healthy marriages and they are married to 1-2 people. They are there and they are 100%. And my parting shots to you would be, if you want to engage in actually not even polygamy, I'm going to call it polyamorous relationships, right? Where there is love, where there is communication, where not equal, but everyone is consenting and everyone is okay where they are. And it's not a bad situation. Please be the change. Please be the change, because everybody say, oh, it's bad, and it is true. But where we are going, I don't want to say that, oh, let's outlaw it, let's change it. We should change it, but I think the change should come from how it treats women, how everyone gets a fair share in this arrangement. Because let me tell you the truth, let me be real with you, it is a thing. It is 100% a thing, and it's a thing where people, not many, but people are healthy and they're happy. And I have read, go to these social media pages and read, people are happy and people are content. You understand? So if you can, and by the way, it's ethical non-monogamy, that's what I'm going to call it, is seeing a rise. For example, you may say, there's a big word over in Uganda, it's not there. If you have a husband or a boyfriend and you say, okay, if you have another girlfriend, I'm fine. Ethical non-monogamy, aren't you there? You've said yes, you've agreed, and you're comfortable. And not discomfortable, in your heart you're paying, comfortable, and you're okay. No one is judging you, especially not me. It's okay and it's allowed. For the men, you can't, you using this as a tool for control, it's getting outlawed. It's not going to work anymore. Leave these women alone. You can't leave them alone. Leave them alone. For what it is, I've given you my perspective and how differently I see this, and how it may not be 100% bad, and how the change may not have to be complete outlaw, but a middle ground, a regulated, fair.
Thank you, Maggie. And Rose.
Yeah, for me, my parting shots are usually, especially for women, the decision to be polygamous rarely lies in your hands. But you can't negotiate the situation. You have to know what is entitled to you. In whatever relationship you have with someone, be it monogamous or polygamous, you have to know the legal repercussions. Many people go through life without recognizing that sexual relationships are also legal in one way or another, depending on whether you're married, you're cohabiting, you're having a one-night stand. Like, there is always something in there. Know what is due to you. Know how you can navigate it. For everything, there are solutions. So you shouldn't bury your head in the sand and think that what is being told to you by culture, by religion, is your due right. I have had very many women coming to my office saying, we walked down the aisle, they said, why is the court only giving me curtains? You need to know your rights. And when you know your rights are legal, they are written in law. So you have to know what you are entitled to and what your duties are in such a relationship before you go ahead to conduct it. And even for polygamy, that exists. So you have to be very clear about the boundaries that you're drawing. But I would also encourage everyone to take time and look at the new marriage bill. Right now we have an opportunity to create change, even for polygamous situations. Let's interest ourselves in that. Let's come together as women and agitate for things to go into that law that are going to serve us. So that even marriage as an institution works for us. In that if you say, okay, I'm okay with polygamy, at least you know you are protected by the law. I am okay with monogamy, I am protected by the law. So that it's not an institution that serves only one partner, which is the man, and the women are left to languish without anything that comes back to them. So those would be my parting shots.
Thank you. You're watching Hide the Myth. I sense that this is a conversation that is going to go on for quite some time. I sense that our two guests will be coming up to share with us more. There are so many questions that are arising. What are our rights? I like the way you put it, Rose, succinctly. Do we know our rights? You know, where do we go as a Muslim woman? Where do we go as a woman who contracted a monogamous relationship and now you find yourself in a polygamous situationship? Where do you go? Is it indeed a marriage? So this is all information that people need to know. Ethical polygamy, ethical non-monogamy. Ethical non-monogamy. Just thinking and redefining the kinds of relationships that we want to be in. Talking about this polygamy and questioning and just us as women making sure that we are not locked out, that a law is not passed and we did not participate. So this is a conversation that will keep continuing, and we shall keep having the historical perspective. We shall keep sharing about how we hide the myths in this very, very difficult, emotionally draining situation of polygamy, but also sharing about hope and the way forward, because as women, these cultures, these religions, these traps that life throws our way do not define us. You're watching Hide the Myth, a place of conversation, a place of feminist discussions, a place of analysis, a place of connection, a place where we come together as women to question the patriarchy, to discuss social, economic, political issues in our tone, in our style, on our terms. Follow us on social media. It's Hide the Myth across channels. Do email us. Our email is on the screen. We look forward to hearing from you and to connecting with you. We look forward to one day hosting you in our kitchen, and we look forward to one day coming to your kitchen. From us here at Hide the Myth, it's goodbye. Thank you for tuning in, and keep having conversations, because your voice, your opinions are powerful and will change the world. Thank you.